Ladies and gentlemen, you may unfortunately receive notification, you may receive word from your landlord, from whoever the property manager is for the rental location that you're living in, that your rent is due to increase, ultimately putting you and your family in a position of having to relocate and being displaced abruptly, and or having to come up with a multiple over your existing rent, perhaps maybe 2, maybe even 3 times more expensive than what you've been paying in previous months. If you want to know more about this and exactly how and why this is occurring, I posted a video here recently about that, about eviction and unable to afford the higher rent prices. So please check that out for additional information. From that video, I received a comment that I want to address. And it says, I have a question. If everything goes up on these properties, how are they going to fill the units, which means they are not going to make money? Then what? All right. Now, this is of growing concern and a valid question that has a relatively simple and easy answer that I'm going to give to you. With that being said, this channel is purely created and devoted to financial information and education and developing passive income and building out more stable, secure, sustainable, impressive net worths and personal financial goals and achievements, building businesses, creating side hustles, and everything of the sort. Addressing the economic concerns day to day, what's going out there in the world, what's going on in the stock market, what's going on in the real estate market, what's happening in the automotive industry, the rental market, cryptocurrency, decentralized currency, central bank digital currency, Social Security, government aid, anything that relates to survival, money, finance, economy, business, wealth. That's what we're going to discuss here. I've told you guys before, I'm an open book, so feel free to ask me any question that you desire. I don't mind at all. And especially for the folks in the network, you can send me a DM at any time and ask any question. I try to respond relatively quickly to get you guys answers ASAP. We had a little bit of a YouTube content creator glitch this morning, and I think I was able to provide folks with answers relatively in a few minutes to solve problems that they were having on uploads that I have already experienced in YouTube and had already formed solutions. So we're just about trying to help people become better educated while they are working towards achieving their financial goals and making those things happen. A question was asked, well, why are you renting when you're telling people to build wealth and invest and this, that, and the other? And again, previous videos, I go into great detail beyond that. We're renting because it makes sense. Number one, there was no point in buying into the real estate market at the top. It just didn't make any sense, let alone buying into the real estate market in a brand new state that we had never lived in before, and trying to decide where we want to start planting roots off of a few minutes, a few moments time, just browsing available properties for sale. Florida real estate for us is more than likely going to look like a $1.5 to $2 million investment at the very least. So with that being said, there's no way we're going to rush into that. We're going to make sure that we actually find the right area and the right property that we want. And in the meantime, I had already planned on the possibility of the housing market seeing a decrease in pricing. Now we're also waiting on a change in interest rates and or positioning ourselves to pay cash is the only way that this is going to happen. But even that said, there's only like 2 properties that we've even found that even remotely interest us, and they're still not the right ones. So just want to put that out there. Renting is not bad. There's nothing wrong with it. The people who actually, most of the people who live here with us who rent, there's a pretty much uniform reason why they do. And if you knew what that was, then you would say, oh wow, there's no way that you could buy a house in that situation, because your station could change at any given time. So why would you buy a house when you could be deployed somewhere else at a moment's notice? Think about it. But again, folks, it's okay to ask the questions. Like I said, I'm an open book. I welcome them. I want to give you guys answers. I want to bring you guys knowledge and education and wisdom and experience. And with that being said, somebody actually commented this morning on the video I posted yesterday where I was giving you guys information on the super easy side hustles to quit your job, or my experience in quitting my job and sharing several side hustle opportunities with you, being the Amazon merch, which I've got a ton of response from that, which I need to get you guys some answers as quickly as I can. And one of the comments was from a 24-year-old viewer. He said he was 24 years old, and he said that what I was pitching, the information I was sharing, was a scam. He thought that clicking the link in the description and signing up for Moomoo would put money in my account. And that's not the case. So I would love to encourage people out there that if you don't understand, feel free to ask the questions, but just immediately running off at the mouth and saying that something is a scam because you don't understand it, it doesn't really help the situation. And I prefer, if you guys want, go look at the comment because I replied to it. I prefer folks get the education and understand rather than just being afraid of something and assuming that it's bad when it's really not the case. So I answered that on that video. With that being said, the folks who want more information, I'm going to put together a super simple, easy to follow tutorial on the Amazon merch on the network, patreon.com/Kevin247. So if you're interested in getting your Amazon merch started or finding ways to automate the creation process of the content and the artwork or anything of the sort that's related to it, go check it out. And if you got any questions, feel free to ask and I will get you some answers ASAP. I want to see you guys succeed. I want to see you guys grow. And with that being said, what happens with real estate? What happens with these higher price rentals? I have a question. If everything goes up on these properties, how are they going to fill the units, which means they are not going to make money? Then what? Well, the simple answer is, in this particular situation, they are still going to make money. That's why the price is going up. It's because they have to cover their costs, so to speak, keep up with the market to make sure that they get the returns on their investments. Now, the property I was telling you about, the investor lives in Texas, and we're actually engaging in a business arrangement between his company and my company, which I'll bring you guys more information on that later. But as we were having these conversations, he was like, hey man, I watch your videos, I see the palm trees, where are you? I told him I was in Florida, and he was like, oh, I have some property in Florida, and it's a multi-family unit. So he's invested in an apartment building, but it has some storm damage, and between all the damages, it's going to get a massive overhaul and an upgrade and a renovation and a remediation. So with that, it drives up the value of the property, especially when it comes to the surrounding properties and the going rates. Well, in this particular situation, it was already somewhat considered low income. So when I say that, millions of Americans are at risk of potentially being wiped out of the rental market because of what's going on in the economy right now, what's changing with real estate, let me kind of preface this with, the part of the country that we're talking about. Let's just say it's not just Americans. Let's just say people in America. That might be a more accurate statement to say that they are going to feel the squeeze and potentially be displaced and wiped out with the increase in rent prices. Why? Because at the price that was set previously, the typical tenant was of the working class. Therefore, blue collar worker, minimum wage, perhaps maybe even. Now they're being displaced because they're not going to be able to afford the new higher price unless they were to see an increase in their income and or take on additional roommates to cover the costs. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean that they won't rent it out. It doesn't mean that they won't make money. What it means is that, much like the story that I brought you guys about high income earners living paycheck to paycheck, high income earners now shopping at discount, bargain, thrift stores and places and grocery shopping and things like that. High income earners actually standing in line for food pantries and food kitchens and things like that. That's what happens. They get they get shifted down the income bracket ladder. And so ultimately what it's going to boil down to is that these rents are more than likely going to see an increased jump going from $700, $750, $800 a month to over $2,000 a month. So the people who could afford it previously at that price, which is probably already a stretch, are not going to be able to afford it anymore. That's the working class, lower income bracket, blue collar workers. What happens is now you'll see the white collar workers coming in at these prices. These are like nurses, these are professionals, these are RNs, these are those in tech, these are, executives that make considerably higher income, but that is the most affordable housing option for them. Now, as we move towards the higher end of the scale, some of these high-end luxury condos and things like that, that changes the game just a little bit, but there's still a market for that too. So they're going to continuously make money. They're not going to have vacancy. Like, they're going to have these units filled. They're going to make their money. That's going to happen. But what's going to happen is it's going to put the squeeze on those folks lower, closer to the ground level, as we were talking about the rising floodwaters of inflation. As those waters continue to go up, those people are either going to have to sink or swim. And if they swim, they got to swim and go somewhere else and find, dry ground in a cheaper income or cheaper rental market, hopefully being able to find income in that market for the roles that they do take on. That is pretty much what's going to happen. We're seeing it happen. This gentrification is happening all over the country. Nashville in particular. I was in Nashville not too long ago, and it's going on there. And these companies and corporations are bringing in people that can't afford to live there if they don't already now. This job market is a little sketchy, so at the end of the day, the turnover rate is probably going to be pretty high, but the workforce, the jobs will be there in the economy to afford these higher price rentals. And the property owners who have these investment properties, these cash flow producing assets, will be there to realize these gains and take advantage of these wealth building passive income stream opportunities. But at the end of the day, the biggest loser out of all this is going to be the working class, blue collar, low income, no savings, poor credit, bad credit, paycheck to paycheck, poorer, near broke folks living in America. Sucks.